posting nothing yet. Stay tuned. And it ran for another 2 years. But there again is what I wanted to point out to you, what Spielberg was involved in, what Chris Carter is involved in, and what some of the directors and writers of the Stargate series and the Star Trek series, from time to time, little bits and pieces of material are injected into those storylines that are not fiction. They're not science fiction, they're science fact. But they're introduced in such a way that you don't know it, you don't recognize it. It hits you at what's known as the subliminal level. And when I tell you that disclosure ain't gonna happen, and then I tell you that disclosure is happening now, I'm referring to that subliminal educational program that is underway that you're all being subjected to. You're getting the uncovering and the revealing and the disclosure in subtle ways that you don't even recognize. And you're going to get more of it because the program apparently is rather successful, and the guys who put it together are rather pleased at your response. And you're going to be getting more stories. And you're going to get some stories that are so far out you're going to say to yourself, good God, that couldn't happen. But good God, it is happening. Ben Rich, before he retired from Lockheed Martin, made some comments to a number of people there, California. We're in California. Forgive me. I'm from Arizona. I baked my gourd in Phoenix for the last 6 to 8 months, and I lose it sometimes. This program is underway. It's subtle, it's continuous, and it is subliminal education. And it's affecting you, it's affecting everybody. And you're going to see more of it. They did it in the Stargate series, they did it in Star Trek, Kirk, Jean-Luc Picard, and the rest of them from the Enterprise. They slip little bits and pieces in from time to time where you think, ooh, isn't that exciting? Isn't that way out? Guys, it's not that way out. Ben Rich said before he retired, he says, we're 100 years ahead of establishment science. And this is a guy who had a right to know, and he had a need to know, and he was in the inside of the program. We're 100 years ahead of establishment science. The stuff that normally is understood by guys in universities, you know, on the street. Rich says we're 100 years beyond that. And he says, you know, we could take E.T. home. Now, movie was out at about that time, and you know the story from E.T., the little dude says, E.T., go home. E.T. wants to go home. Rich says, we can take E.T. home. Now, Ben Rich has been dead for 10 years, for God's sake. I knew another Lockheed Martin scientist who has passed away, a guy by the name of David Froning, who worked with Lockheed Martin for, almost 30 years. I invited David to speak at a conference in Phoenix some years back. Wendell Stevens and I put on a program, and we got a hold of Froning. We knew he was brilliant, and we knew he had been on the inside of research at Lockheed Martin for so long. And we got David to come down and speak at our conference there in Phoenix. And he was getting up in years. David's gone home now. He was getting up in years. And he shared some things with us. Excuse me here. I didn't want to put my posterior here to the audience, but I don't know how else to do this. I gotta. God, they got me so wired up here. Anyhow, Froning said, you know, Bob, he said, I've been retired now for 10 years. He says, before I retired, I was in the Advanced Systems Division of Lockheed Martin. And we were dealing with something we called modified field propulsion. A variable field, he said. Of course, he began to lose me immediately. I didn't get what he was talking about. Matter-antimatter conversion. Exotic field tension. Wormhole. He said it will modify time and space, and he says we have had transluminal flight for over 30 years. And I had to stop again, and I says, hold it. Transluminal, hyperluminal flight. I says, you're talking about faster than light, for God's sake. He said, yeah, we've had it now for 30 years. Now this is from David Froning, who'd spent, biggest chunk of his life as an advanced systems engineer for Lockheed Martin. And then we get the material from Ben Rich. And somebody said to Rich, he said, Ben, what the hell are you really talking about? He goes to the blackboard. His big dinner for retirement, I think, was one of the major hangars over there. Blackboard, he goes up and he writes, unfunded opportunities. They say, what the hell are you talking about? He takes the chalk and he circles U, F, and O. And then he left the stage and walked out the door, and they're all thinking, good God, what this man's lost it here. Unfunded opportunities, UFO. What he was inferring and saying literally in their face, yes, we have reverse engineered technology from alien craft. And we're flying it, and it works. And we can take E.T. home. Now, one of the reasons I get so ticked off, you have to forgive me here, I'm getting old. I don't have the patience I used to have. The rumor has been going around that I've turned out to be a mean, rotten old fart. Cynical, grumpy. Well, that's not entirely true. I like to think, as Henry Higgins said, that I have the milk of human kindness by the quart in every vein. But I can't really pull it off. I guess I am getting kind of grumpy in my old age. Guys, I'm getting angry. I really am getting angrier every day when I think about the con job that's being pulled on you and 300 million other Americans on a daily basis, where they are literally conning you to the point they're taking you to the cleaners, they're stealing you blind, and then they're lying to you about it. And I have a list of, I call it my pissed off list. When you're old and you're sitting in retirement, you have to spend your time doing something. So I prepare this list. Top of the list are politicians. And I say repeatedly that you guys have the best Congress money can buy. That bunch of clowns in Washington who think of themselves, call themselves Congress, we should build special prisons for them. I'm serious. I think about half of them should be put up in front of a judge and sent off for 10 years. Because they're a bunch of damn thieves. Not only are they molesting children, and what the hell, the governor of North Carolina, South Carolina, big scandal, his love affair is in Argentina. To hell with his wife and kids, his love affair is in Argentina. And then we've got congressmen who are guilty of the same thing. Some of them are gay, and I'm not putting them down because they're gay. I'm putting them down because they lie about it. Well, as I say, guys, we've got a mess of clowns back there. What is it, as Will Rogers said, the most permanent, ongoing, continuing, self-continuing program in the world of liars and cheats is the United States Congress. And Will's been gone for a long, long time. So I get my dander up,